Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks everyone for joining today. I hope you're all well. My name is Riley and I will be hosting this webinar today. Just before we get started, I would just like to go over a couple of things. If you'd just like to disable your notifications before we get into the webinar, that would be great. You can just go into your settings, which should be in the bottom right-hand corner, and just disable all the notification settings. So just untick all of the check boxes there, and then you won't have any pop-ups or sounds during the session which might disturb you. So the topic for today's webinar is why is student services so important when studying on campus? So this webinar is primarily for anyone who may be interested in studying on campus in Australia with us at EIT. And this webinar will be presented by Mr. Richard Jones, who is our Student Services Coordinator, and also our student Titus Shilongo, who is studying our on-campus Bachelor of Science in Civil and Structural Engineering. So basically everyone that's registered for this webinar, including everyone who's in the session right now, will receive a copy of the PDF slides and a link to the video recording of this webinar via email. I'll likely send that out tomorrow. So within one business day, you'll receive that email. And just briefly about us, to introduce the company. So EIT, we are an engineering specialist education provider. We only do engineering courses, and we have a range of course types and qualifications available. We have short courses called Professional Certificate of Competency courses, as well as courses in the VET sector, such as diplomas and advanced diplomas. We also have a range of qualifications in higher education, such as undergraduate and graduate certificates, bachelor's and master's degrees, and more recently, a doctorate of engineering. We have industry-oriented programs, which means that we continually update our courses to stay relevant with the industry. We have world-class Australian accredited education. So our vocational programs and higher education degrees are registered and accredited with the Australian government. We do, however, have some courses that are also internationally recognised under the 3 International Engineering Accords. We also have industry experienced lecturers, so not only those who are involved in academia, but also those who have actual real world experience that they can apply to their teaching. And we also have a unique delivery model. So for our students, we use a range of live and interactive webinars if you're studying online. And then we have our expert lecturers that are mentioned. We have dedicated learning support, and we also have state-of-the-art technologies such as hands-on workshops, remote laboratories, and simulation software. So this will be our agenda for today. So I've just introduced the session. I'll soon hand over to Richard, and he will discuss our on-campus programs and our upcoming intakes. We'll also discuss our student support, including a heavy focus on student services. We'll also mention one of our recent student success stories who obtained an internship at a company here in WA, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And finally, before we conclude the session, we'll hear from our student Titus Shilongo, who's currently studying with us and in his final year. And to finish off the webinar, I'll run a short Q&A. So if anyone has any questions for any of us, you can put them in the chat box and we'll answer them for you while we're still live. I'll now hand over to Richard, our Student Services Coordinator. Thank you, Richard. Thanks for coming online today.
Excellent. Thanks, Riley. Welcome to everyone today. I was just thinking of how I should begin the session today, and probably just a bit of a brief on where we're at the moment in terms of our current rollout. It's been quite an exciting week here on campus. We've only just concluded our 3-day orientation session here in Perth at the Bentley campus. So both Titus and I have been working with students regularly, and particularly over the last 2 or 3 days, introducing our commencing students to the institute. So lots of good energy, going at quite a rapid pace, as you'd expect for orientation. But we've finished the week quite positive, in a positive way, with students really enjoying the orientation. A little bit about myself. I come from a background working in the tertiary industry for around about 15 years now. I've worked for a couple of universities here in Perth, and very fortunate nowadays to be working for EIT. I've also come from a background in workplace training and assessment, and also a secondary school teacher over the years. But in more recent years, I've fallen into more of a student services role, which I really enjoy. I get to work very closely with the students, working very much in a pastoral role, and working with students day to day and getting to know them on quite a personal level, something that we really pride ourselves in here at EIT. So a big part of my role is meeting day to day with the students, providing counselling that is very much about their personal journey, also their educational journey, and ultimately their career journey, finding them a job, hopefully at the conclusion of their studies with EIT. Because of COVID in more recent times, obviously there have been a lot of restrictions here in Perth regarding recreational activities, but with the borders reopening on the 3rd of March, and a lot of students returning to Perth and a lot of students commencing in Perth, here at the college, particularly at Bentley, we're very much looking forward to reactivating our social and recreational program, which involves games of soccer, cricket matches, barbecues, online movie nights for some of the, not so much off-campus stuff. It is available to our online students as well, but we encourage all of our on-campus students to attend the online movie nights, online cooking sessions. And what we're hoping to do is, and what we hope to continue to do, is create that sense of community here at EIT. So it's not just about studies for the students, it's also about making friendships, lifelong friendships, we hope, and engaging in college activities. So there's a broad experience for the students whilst they're doing their studies with us, and that enjoyment factor that comes from being a student of EIT. Some other things that we've got mentioned here, obviously we provide details around accommodation. Also, we provide an airport pickup service for our international students. Again, our aim is to provide that support right the way through the student journey, and a great experience right the way through the student journey, from the point of application, where our students are speaking with our course advisors, through the admissions process, where we've obviously got to look at English results, the formal qualifications of students, whether they be domestic or international, right the way through to the onboarding process that I've already spoken about before, with orientation week this week, the actual studies, whether it be a master's student for the 1 year, sometimes 2 years if they're studying part-time, 3 years for undergraduate, and also nowadays through to our doctorate program as well. We've just taken on 4 new doctorate students for this upcoming semester. I think they'll be quite busy doing their studies and their research, but the hope is that we'll be able to engage them in some of the social aspects of on-campus life, get them on board for a soccer game here or there, which would be great as well. Day to day, other things I'm involved in, of course, immigration matters, maintaining student COEs, any changes that might come in there, any students that perhaps over time have found their studies challenging and they've become a student at risk. We have a very strong process around identifying students at risk with our academic team and also our learning support officers that I believe we'll speak about in a little while. And it's very much a team effort to keep these students on the right track and provide that direct support as they go through, and done in a way that isn't punitive. It's very important, I find, to approach these situations with an open mind. Often our international students and our domestic students have a lot of challenges, particularly for international students being in a new country, having to adjust to the Australian culture, to the Australian dialect. You'll probably notice that I've got quite a strong Australian accent, even though I can't quite hear it. And just adapting to life in Perth, Melbourne, and what it means to come from, say, India or Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, from Nepal, from numerous countries around the world, if they are studying here on campus. And if they are struggling with those studies, to identify it early and to provide those support mechanisms that we have right the way through. And I'll speak about that in a moment with how we actually do that. Of course, operational day-to-day matters, a lot of administration that goes with all of our jobs, I'm sure. And as I mentioned, the on-campus orientations for both Perth and Melbourne. Fortunately, we've actually done that combined in the last 3 days, and it's been fantastic to engage with students in Melbourne, and also some of our students that have gotten stuck in Melbourne the last 3 or 4 weeks. Have come to Australia with the idea that they'd be studying in Perth as of I think it was the 5th of February, but unfortunately with the changes there at that time, there were some delays, but we have many that are currently going through the process of travelling over in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So in terms of our on-campus programs, you can see here that we've got a comprehensive list of what we have available. It's very unique in the sense that obviously with our programs we're focusing on engineering, and I find that experience to be a positive one in the sense that you can really zoom in on, for want of a better word, you can really zoom in on the program structure, the unit content, and because you've got that one underlying theme of engineering throughout a student's study, that is the focus for the student journey right the way through, as opposed to maybe working for a university or a different college here in Perth, where you might have a broad range of subjects and career options that a student might choose. So you can see there, guys, right the way through for the Bachelor of Science, Industrial Automation Engineering, Electrical Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, Civil and Structural Engineering, and Titus will be speaking to his course of study a little bit later. And then postgraduate programs, the master's programs, again, Industrial Automation, Electrical, Mechanical, Structural again, and then the doctorate, that's a newly formed course in more recent years. So again, the hope is our bachelor's students will continue on with us and study postgraduate, but in a lot of ways we encourage the students to get out there into the workforce. There's a lot of job opportunities at the moment to work in industry here in WA, and maybe get out for 6 months to a year and really get involved in the workplace environment and make some good money as well, while there's money to be made and the employment opportunities are there. So comprehensive programs at the Institute, and a range of students very much from a range of backgrounds, and also studying at a range of levels. Now, with our next on-campus intake, this would be quite important for you guys. I believe the majority of people in the room today are agents or affiliated in industry, and you'd be dealing with students day in, day out, week by week, and be looking at obviously intakes and having students sent to us. So next intake is the 1st of August 2022. And we'll be running the orientation in that week, with classes commencing on the 8th of August. Studying in Melbourne, Victoria, obviously we're still looking at these vaccination mandates, or vaccination rules, I should say, that are in place. I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon. So I'd strongly encourage you to continue to check the state and federal government websites regarding travel to Australia if you guys are abroad, and if you are joining us from different Australian states, to look at the state-by-state requirements, because they are all different. There's some great information there regarding studying in Victoria through the Study Melbourne website. And also we've got some great information there regarding studying in Perth through the Study Perth website as well. Two really strong websites from the one organisation, obviously from the two different branches, that provide a lot of support to students in both the cities, with international student hubs, a lot of online information and student support resources. Some great information there. And I guess I can say this, you know, if students are looking at studying in either of those cities, two very different cities in terms of the lifestyle and the outlook. For me personally, I'm from a state in Australia called Tasmania. That's actually closer to Melbourne, and spent a lot of time in Melbourne. But moved over to Perth around about 15 years ago, and I absolutely love it here. It's been fantastic for lifestyle, for family, for career, just everything that goes with having a positive outlook on life and having a positive life. With Melbourne, it's a great city. You know, maybe a little bit similar to Hobart, Tasmania, where I'm originally from. One of the reasons why I decided to come to Perth. But the lifestyle with the football, with social, with the big events, whether it be sporting or rock concerts, you name it. Both cities, you know, I must say, have these events available a lot of the time, and we're really seeing things open up now that we're a couple of years into COVID. So great opportunities for students to come and experience the Australian lifestyle and have two very unique experiences. So we have here just a little bit of information, some photos from our campuses. I'll just see who we've got in the photos there. I can't quite pick any of my more recent students. But you can see here just the type of environment that students will be coming to. Australia is very spread out, and you'll find that in most study locations in Perth and in Melbourne. Maybe not so in Melbourne for our campus, because it is a CBD location, but there is a sense of expanse, I guess, when you come to Australia, and the bush and everything, the bushland, the animals, the blue skies, the warm weather. All of those things that a lot of our students, I guess, are looking for, very different to their country of origin. Okay. So yeah, again, some pictures there of our Melbourne campus. Again, it's a CBD based location, Collins Street in Melbourne. Great location in terms of all the cafes and the restaurants in Melbourne, very close to the CBD. Spent a lot of time on Collins Street over the years. So again, great experiences for both groups of students, depending what they're after. Okay, guys, so I spoke briefly before just about our learning support officers. So the learning support officers are my colleagues here on campus, and also online for that matter. The LSOs are very much involved in more of the academic support with students that study here at the Institute. Day to day, they'll be taking phone calls regarding assessments, unit content, basically working as the middle person between student and lecturer, and you know, answering any questions along the way, and allowing our lecturers to really focus heavily on delivering the course and delivering excellent unit content. It takes a lot of that administrative aspect or angle away from the lecturers, even though they're more than happy to meet with students day to day. But the LSOs very much step in and provide that extra support day to day, week by week through the student journey. And you can see here, we've got a few dot points there: systems, processes, course progression, general administration. That seems like a very it's a concise list, which is a good thing for a presentation. But as we all know, with all of our jobs, we do so much more in order to do what we have to do and reach our outcomes and our KPIs week by week, day by day. So again, coming back to the academic focus, reminders for assessments, tracking students throughout the student journey, also involved with student at risk, with identifying any academic misconduct. And that can sound like a heavy couple of words there, but a lot of students don't have, not a lot, but some students don't have a great background in academic writing, referencing, all of those things that are expected at a tertiary standard. And so the LSOs will step in that instance and help the students with any problems that they might be having with that, and provide resources that we have on our learning management system to assist with learning how to reference properly. We're fortunate that we can identify a lot of these students early, and we can provide those support resources and that instruction before it becomes too much of a problem, because as you all know, at tertiary level, when it comes to academic misconduct, it's treated as a very serious thing, and we want to provide the training, the instruction, but also change the behaviour, whatever the behaviour may be, in order for the student to understand why that's such a large requirement whilst they're studying with us. And also social. We had a great photo taken at Christmas time when we had our last batch of students on campus. Barbecue just out the front here, an Australian barbecue. Great opportunity to catch up with students and just wish them well for the summer break. And everyone's involved in that. I often comment that we're a big family here, and that goes for all of the staff that work in the city office, the Melbourne office, and also Perth, Bentley. We all know each other quite well and work very, very closely with each other each day and have that family environment going. I will say about that, often students will refer to me as uncle. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's nice to be acknowledged in that sense, that there's a level of responsibility that comes with that, I guess. So if students do come to me, they expect that advice from almost like a family member. So that's the relationship that we all create with our students. Okay, lecturers and instructors, high quality instructors that work for EIT. Again, very much focusing on the learning experience, practical workshops, remote and virtual labs. We have a work integrated learning component for our courses that I'll speak to a little bit later. I work very closely with Dr. Evangelista, who's our program coordinator for that. Site visits. I'll speak to the internships program in a little while. But again, guys, our lecturers are very high quality and very experienced in their fields of study, and I often find day to day it's just great to see them engaging with students on a one-on-one level, on that individual level, and in groups as well, of course, but being able to communicate and have that real personal touch with the delivery of their courses. So it's great to see. What else have we got here? This idea of guidance and support throughout studies, that comes from everyone. Being able to contact us, whether it be via email, face-to-face, phone, also a lot of online meetings nowadays, which is just the way of the world. And again, just touching on this idea of building rapport with students, the lecturers, building that rapport with the students, and being able to seek the clarity and information as needed. Okay, so a little bit more about what we do. I've already touched on a lot of the things that we do for student services. I've already touched on the social program a little bit with the sports and also the barbecues and the social events that we create. We're trying to attend, now that things have opened up a little bit, more of the conventions, the opportunities that are offered through Engineers Australia. In around about a month's time, there's quite a large convention being held in the CBD here in Perth, that's all about networking opportunities with local industry, because as you'd know, particularly here in Perth at the moment and Western Australia, there is a huge shortage of engineers. And we're really hoping that, particularly for our current graduates, that will translate to employment opportunities. So more than likely, we'll arrange a group to go into the convention centre for that event, and hopefully network and create some job opportunities there. A little bit aside from the social program, but part of it in many ways. providing those types of opportunities. Calendared social events that I've already spoken to. And this is an important one, guys. It's very much a theme that I have as the Student Services Coordinator. Objective of continuous improvement of our quality of service and a commitment to ongoing individualised support. A lot of kind of catchwords there, but he who feels it knows it. I often think that, and I believe that all of the staff members here feel that they're involved at the institute because they see how successful the students can become, and there's a lot of good energy that will come from that, not just for the student but also for us as staff. So it's positive. For student services, when students arrive, we provide the welcome pack, basic orientation information. I've already spoken about the airport pickup. We arrange for that to occur. We try and usually do that in groups if students are coming out, on the same flight from Sydney or whatever it may be. So absolutely can provide that. Student card, that's pretty obvious. The orientation, again, the accommodation, pastoral care, involved with providing job search tips. Funnily enough, just the minute before we started the session today, we had a student wander into the room looking for some guidance on how to find work, and unfortunately had to arrange an appointment for early next week because we've got all of you important people in the room. Parking permits, just the basic administrative stuff there, guys. Okay. So I've asked Riley and the team just to include our calendar of activities for semester 1, 2022. It may be a little bit difficult depending on the size of your screen, but if you look to the left-hand side of the calendar, and there's also a second page here, you'll see that there's 13 weeks listed that cover a range of themes, ranging from that first welcome, introduction to the college, looking at planning, time management, basically sorting out your weekly planner, your semester planner for assessments, a lot of those skills that students haven't been exposed to. Right the way through to, we also have a section on personal health and mental well-being, careers, visitors coming out to the campus and online, so industry specialists delivering sessions from industry, right the way through to exam preparation and that final step towards managing anxiety and stress when you're leading into exams. So over the 13 weeks, we plan it as a micro student journey, I guess. Tailored with that, we have student success workshops that are run each week. This is independent from the academic program, where I will take students just for half an hour every Friday to work through those different themes with the idea of providing resources, instructions, etc., and done in a very informal way so that students feel free to speak and they can give ideas and basically speak about their experience and knowledge in that area. We've also encouraged and mandated for some of our not many of our student at risks, because fortunately we don't have too many, to be attending those sessions. And again, we see that as, I guess, a bit of a buffer in terms of, holding students accountable to their studies, but also giving them the resources and the suggestions and the advice, and particularly the engagement, so that students can change any behaviours or patterns that aren't working for them, with their studies. So very important, those student success workshops. Also with the overall plan, we've got the social activities calendared in. Also, I guess advertising for the different events that are coming up, and just planning it out so that students have access to this on their Moodle, on their LMS, and that they can plan ahead to attend a movie night or come along for a soccer match, whatever it may be. And our student services team will often put out flyers around the campus and also online, just to market it a little bit, and try and make it interesting, attract some interest. And I'm hoping Titus will speak about the soccer matches that we've had and that we plan to have. Okay, so our main thing there, guys, is very much the 13-week themes that we've got there and that overall plan. and then moving into second semester, we'll mix things up, but be still running those set themes for the new batch of students that will be starting in August, and for any students that might encounter different things for themselves over their study journey. Okay, just this next slide that gives you an idea of the first 6 weeks, and you can see their study planning, managing online studies, avoiding procrastination. We've got Engineers Australia coming out again, personal health and wellbeing, and also staying mentally healthy, which we find is a very important theme nowadays with students studying online, I should say, and particularly after the last couple of years with a lot of the stress and anxiety that's come from the COVID situation. Okay. I've probably gotten ahead of myself a little bit here, but I'll just work through this quickly. Again, just those main themes that we've talked about. Broadcast on the Moodle platform, our LMS, encouraging students to log in weekly. Great content opportunities for students to ask questions, develop their own ideas, and workshops are small amounts of time so that obviously students can get on with their studies. And also, if you're running a 2-hour session, you probably won't have anyone turn up because they've got other things to do. But if it's 30 minutes, it's short and snappy, and you can get the information across, and hopefully it's retained and used by the students. Okay, I think that's probably it for that side. Okay, guys. A little bit of information about our industry partnership program. So both myself and Dr. Evangelista are heavily involved with the industry here in Perth, and also have some great contacts in Melbourne through our campus there, our campus manager, and also support contacts through a company called Outcome Life. Now, with the overall program, what happens is students, when they pay their international fees, as part of the fee structure, $2,000 of that is actually allocated towards Outcome Life support. Now, if you would like to Google Outcome Life, you'll be taken to their homepage. They run a range of opportunities and programs for students and for industry. And you'll see on their website, they've got quite a large section on internships. Now, with the $2,000, what that means is, and I'll give you an example of what's happening for our current batch, is that over the next 2 to 3 months, there'll be an onboarding process, which will include interview, webinars, some testing, just some minor testing around the support that they need, development of CV and also cover letter, and those types of resources that you need when you go for a job. Also working through selection criteria if you are applying for jobs online, which most of us do nowadays, and also some information on the different Australian job websites for a range of employment, whether it be your part-time work as a student, right the way through to when students graduate or get closer to graduation for both undergraduate and postgraduate studies. Beyond that, once the Outcome Life team has identified the strengths and perhaps some of the not so much weaknesses, but the support that students need, and they work through that, around about 1 or 2 months, 1 month thereabouts, around about May, June, they'll start to look at the placement option for those students, and using quite a large group of industry contacts, we'll reach out to industry and then look at placing the students into a workplace. Now, aside that, both myself and Dr. Anna, again, are quite involved with industry here in Perth, and we are constantly reaching out to new contacts and to new opportunities, and running through our own process and program of interviewing students, applications, interviews, support, identifying any needs with CV, with cover letter, looking at selection criteria, job websites, etc. Very similar. And then actually working one-on-one with industry reps to place students in workplaces here in Perth. Dr. Anna, Dr. Evangelista, tends to focus more on the governance and academic side of things, which I'll speak to in a moment, whereas I'm more acting in a supervisory and mentoring role, that contact week by week, and for the full 240 hours, having that direct contact with the student and making sure everything goes hopefully perfect with their internship and their experience out in the workplace. So just to touch on some of the program benefits. This very much ties in with the three core objectives of the Institute. Collaborating comprehensively with industry to ensure graduates are job ready. That's super important to us. Employing platforms of learning to facilitate student accessibility and engagement. That comes back to the, the practical nature of our courses. It's not just, even if students are just studying online, it's not just an online course. The components of assessment that have been developed in the delivery of all of our courses focus very much on getting the mind working. And as we move towards on campus for this semester and the following semester, our on-campus students for both Melbourne and for Perth will be attending practical components like workshops, labs, etc., etc. And I'm sure Titus will be able to speak to that in a moment. And keeping the business of education at the student centre, student-centric or student centre, very much that. This is what we're about. This is the passion. This is the energy that we take each day in order to add to this student journey. And so that, we're not just going through the motions here at EIT. We're very passionate about what we do. And I've always been a firm believer that as a teacher, and from my experiences, there's a lot of return energy that comes from that, just helping people in life and helping people achieve their goals. Okay. So, some great stuff there, about innovation, passion, theory, practice, applied knowledge, professional environment, this idea that you don't just come and study with EIT and do the academic side of things and that's it. You have the opportunity for the workplace learning, and you really get involved in the real world experience. That's a big part of what we do and we pride ourselves in. And you can see there, these skills that we've basically taken from the experience of our students when they've been out and doing their internships, the knowledge that's gained, being able to operate under a professional supervisor or mentor, integrating with project teams and organisational culture. It's one thing to have high marks in a degree, but it's another thing to be able to walk into a workplace and understand the language that's spoken, the day-to-day of any workplace that we all know so well. Just the realities of being an engineer in the real world. It's one thing to think that you'll be designing a bridge or some fantastic project to start with, but as for all of us, we've had to start somewhere and we've had to build ourselves up and gain that experience and knowledge over time. And our students very much have that exposure and that understanding studying with us, that they have to work and they have to work hard, as we all do, and that's a really important lesson for life, that if you apply yourself and you're driven and you're passionate, that you will do well, both financially for career, and hopefully that extends to family and all those personal opportunities that you have. Policies and procedures, and judgment and problem solving skills. So again, getting used to what the requirements are within the Australian context. Okay, I'll just scroll back just one. Guys, just in terms of the overall program, 240 hours, again, assessed through these different components that I've just mentioned on this last page here. Usually there will be a major project that the students will undertake throughout their internship, and throughout the 240 hours, they'll develop that project for a final outcome. Or with one company we work closely with, they're actually at stage 5 of the project. We've got a company that we work closely with that recycles batteries. And we've moved through the phase of, assessing the testing aspects of batteries and what they need to look like after they're recycled, and everything that comes within that bubble of engineering and componentry, I guess. But we've had students just recently finish their 5th stage of that overall project, and are actually moving towards a commercial aspect of that operation. And the industry provider couldn't be happier with our students. He's getting students at minimal cost, B, he's getting some really smart students, both undergraduate and masters, that are helping him with his business, and C, it's moved through the different stages to the point of actually going to market and making him hopefully some good money into the future. And if you think about recycling and computer batteries and all of those things, phone batteries in the world that we live in today, I'm pretty sure you can guess the opportunities that could come into the future for that. So that just paints a general picture there. And I guess it leads to a bit of a segue to my next couple of slides here. Internship student success story. Okay, we've got Yuvesh, fantastic student. I must say he struggled a little bit in his first year with some of his results, but put his head down and turned things around, and approached EIT. I think it was perhaps September last year, regarding internship opportunities. But you can see here, I won't read through the slide too much here, guys, but basically taken on the internship with a company called Peak CPL based in Geraldton. Was also doing some work for an electrical contracting firm. And then the ultimate result was from his internship with CPL, wasn't offered a position. I should backtrack a little bit there. Had to apply for a position, because as it is with market, most companies, you've got to put the job advertisement out there. But because of his close relationship with colleagues, his proven work history, he went on to secure a full-time and well-paid position. Fortunately, with this company that's based in Geraldton, there was also free accommodation that was offered for his internship. So he's gone from his initial studies with us from India to his studies with us, living in Perth City, then moving to a regional city, and having a completely different experience. And I think you can see from the previous picture behind, he's very happy with his situation at the moment, doing very well for himself and also for his family back in India. Okay, I think that's it from me for the moment, Riley. I might hand back to you, and then we have our next speaker.
Great, thanks, Richard. I appreciate that. That was a very good presentation you did there. Now, Titus, if you're there, if you just maybe just give us an introduction of yourself, and yeah, take it from here, if that sounds good to you.
Yep. Thanks so much, Riley, for handing the mic over to me, and thanks so much, Richard, for a wonderful story there regarding student services. My name is Titus. My surname is Shilongo. I'm from a country that's situated in the southwest of Africa, called Namibia, and I live in a beautiful city called Perth. So I've been studying and living in Perth for about 3 years now, mainly at EIT. And I am studying a bachelor's in civil and structural engineering, and I'm currently just in my last year of studies. Today I just want to give you guys a little bit of an insider of how it feels like to be a student here at EIT and here in Perth as well. Perth is a very beautiful city, a very hot city, I should say. But it's very beautiful in terms of its natural resources, in terms of just waking up every morning and just hearing the birds chirp. It's kind of a place that you want to be. You want to be here, and you want to go to school every day. You are here. Um, Studying on campus as well has been such a fantastic experience for me, especially with all the people around EIT. The thing is with EIT, EIT cater for our students very much, and they all want us to succeed. So they're all very professionals in terms of each job roles that they're undertaking, um, beginning from the dean himself to the deputy dean, to all the lecturers, to the student services officer, to the lecturers, and even to the peers themselves. Everybody's such a quite professional, and we develop such a family habitat here at EIT, which I love very much. It's kind of like a place that you want to be at, because you just know that people are always behind you, and people want you to actually succeed. So you're never really alone while you're here at EIT, which is a fantastic experience for me, at least while being here at EIT. Also with the student services officer, he's always there to support you in terms of anything that you need. Sometimes coming to a city or a country like Australia to Perth, all the way from our home countries. Like in my case, I'm from Namibia. The student services officer is always there to assist you in whatever thing that you feel lost in, and that's quite a normal thing for us as students to feel lost. And the advice that I do give always to students is you can always ask questions, because they're always kind of there to assist us in whatever we're doing. You never actually feel lost. You always feel like there are people that are going to be helping you, which is such a plus side to being here on campus. When it comes to just being on campus, the just the experience that I've received here is kind of like it's kind of irreplaceable in terms of just being here and seeing students, collaborating with students. The things that I've loved mostly about being here are some of the labs that we have, some of the remote labs that we have. Um, like these days, as engineering is growing, the industries are growing, um, and COVID as well as it being such a factor, we're not able to get a lot of hands-on experience. But EIT makes that possible for us by developing that in their virtual labs, in their remote labs as well, whereby we are able to play simulated games that help us understand what we're doing in the industries that we are studying in. And that's another reason why I'm just so thankful for EIT as well, because not only do they give you the academic experience, but also the hands-on experience, even though COVID has been a factor in our studies. The workshops and the site visits we've had during EIT has been another favorite part of mine while being here, because you kind of get to learn what is outside of campus while being in Australia or while being in Perth. So you kind of get to see what other industries are doing, which is quite unique, and it's quite an experience to feel. From an academic view of things, I've loved being here on campus because, as I've said, the lectures themselves, the LSOs, like these people behind us at EIT, the family habit that we keep on mentioning here is very wonderful. I just wish somebody else would always be there to also just to give you more of an insider to kind of explain to you. But for me, I've loved it so much in terms of that they're always eager to just always assist you, which is such a lovely feeling. Some of us don't have really families here in Australia, but EIT kind of give you that family away from home here in Australia, which which is something that I love as well. Um, while studying for my while studying for my course, um, I've had such different courses. I didn't really know which course which courses I was gonna be doing. I didn't have an idea at the very beginning. I thought that I was gonna be lost. I thought that everything was just gonna be like a dreadful experience. But I've learned quite a lot, like in terms of all the subjects I've done and the courses that I've done. And there are quite some of them that shock me, but there's a lot of them as well that have given me just that kind of experience that you can't get anywhere else. Some of them such as like programming, some of them such as surveying. Those were kind of units or courses that give you a hands-on experience, and they give you like a different technical experience to another side of things. Stuff such as drawing, everything is implemented in your course. EIT are very aware, and they are very considerate of your timetables of your courses that you're doing. Everything for me is well planned, and that's just another lovely experience to experience here while you're on campus. When it comes to the machinery and the equipment that EIT have here on campus, we do have a room called the lab room. As you can see on this slide here, this is the lab room, whereby I was standing close to an industrial automation machine. And for me, like experiencing these kinds of machinery or equipment, you don't find them, I've never seen them anywhere else. It's just stuff that you really see like on YouTube or on TV. But at least with EIT, they give you kind of like a chance for you to witness and to see and experience this kind of machinery that you do not find anywhere else. That that you don't find anywhere else, that I really just love. A lot of students, not just me, but all other students, are here on campus every day because they like to also have a feel of this kind of equipment, machinery. They like to kind of see this kind of stuff because it's quite new to us. Um, so while it's being here in EIT, I've been here for about 3 years, and as I'm coming to my last year, I've recently just gotten an internship at ENM Engineering, and EIT has made that possible for me. Um, this is one of the best things for me that has happened so far while studying here at EIT. Because after such a hard first year, and at least when you can keep your head down and you know that you're always being persistent in what you're doing, um, things will always start falling into place. And that's just how my journey has been with EIT. Because there's always people, as I said, that are always eager and excited for you and for your career. So that's how they've also made my internship possible. I'm currently studying at a company. I'm currently doing my internship at a company called ENM Engineering, which are a company that are focused on the structural engineering view of things. My experience so far has been surreal because it's quite new. I didn't really know how it would be, because I've come really from an unprofessional background, and as a student, when you're coming into your first internship, you're like wondering like, oh, what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen? Like, but all these kind of things fall into place. And yeah, it's quite unreal because you get to learn a lot of things. Not just things that not just things that will help you for your course, but I mean things for a lifetime. For example, like the communication that you're going to be getting there, that you're going to be learning, you being able to collaborate with in teams. It's quite wonderful. And as I'm coming towards like my end here at EIT, I always feel I always feel sad that I'm coming towards the end because I just sometimes I just don't want this experience to end. I always try to encourage all other students who are thinking about studying with EIT to join us because we encourage a lot of students to do come onto campus if they could, and we want to build and expand our family in terms of engineering. There's also a demand in a lot of engineers in Australia, and that's also why you are on the plus side if you're always thinking about engineering as well. And just a little quote for me here. Um, my biggest dreams have just being able to secure a dream job in my field. I've loved being here on campus, the peers, the lectures, and you get guidance as well from the dean himself. He's gonna be here on campus a few times, and it feels like everybody in EIT in the company is very involved. So you're never really alone in what you're doing. It could be your assessments, it could be any small thing. EIT are very catering for us as students. So I would always encourage anybody to join us here at EIT, and we wish for more students to be here. Um, thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Titus. That was really good. Um, just before we wrap up the session today, I would like to invite you all to our upcoming webinar. It will be a panel discussion, so it's a little bit different to our normal webinars. If you're familiar with our technical topic and technical engineering topic webinars, it will feature multiple EIT lecturers and a live Q&A, but they will be discussing Industry 5 and sustainability. So if you go on our website and go to events, you'll be able to register for that webinar. And I'm just giving you a quick overview here of our upcoming courses, but likely most of you here today will be mainly interested in our on-campus bachelor's, master's, and Doctor of Engineering programs. So that one is coming up as mentioned earlier in the webinar. It will be the 1st of August 2022, which is the next intake. So that date is for all on-campus courses, both Perth and Melbourne. And you can also go to our website and check the schedule page if you're unsure of any upcoming dates for those courses or any of our other courses. So that pretty much concludes our presentation, but I'd like to ask everyone who has any questions to please put them in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer them for you while we're live. What I'm going to do is just leave this last slide up, so if anyone wants to have our contact details, they are there on the screen for you. If you have to go, please feel free to do so, and have a good rest of your day. But if anyone would like to stay on and ask us any questions, that would be great. Thank you very much for coming today, everyone. And thank you to Richard and Titus for presenting in this webinar. It was wonderful.
No problems. Thanks, Riley.
Thanks, Titus. Richard, I think there's a question probably best answered by you. Mutula has asked, could you tell us a bit more about the accommodation? Saw it on the student services slide.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question there, Mutula. EIT doesn't actually offer accommodation per se. We I guess rent a building and we offer the accommodation to students. But a big part of my role is putting students in touch with a number of accommodation providers that exist here in Perth. We're very fortunate with our location right here. Literally, our car park backs onto the student village for one of the local universities, and with the accommodation that is available, because of our arrangement with where we have our campus, our students can apply for that accommodation. Very basic process, just to put the application in online. What I could do is, Riley, perhaps I could grab Matala's contact details at some point, and I could send through some details around the accommodation that we do suggest for students, whether it be local. There's also a number of providers that work out of the CBD that are private companies that offer very fair rentals for students from all of the different institutions here in Perth. And the types of accommodation that's provided ranges from the full one-bedroom apartment right the way through to share accommodation with up to 3 or 4 students. We've also found in more recent months, because obviously the international borders have been closed, a lot of the universities here in Perth have opened the accommodation up to different students from different institutions. But I do feel that that will change into the future now that the borders are open. I think we're going to have quite a large amount of students coming to Perth. We've already seen that in Melbourne with the borders being reopened there, and the accommodation will be quite tight in terms of the market. On a private, from a private aspect, there's a number of websites, realestate.com, which is a fantastic website here in Australia, where the majority of us Aussies will find our rentals on. But again, here in Perth particularly, we've had a lot of people come back to the city and to the state in recent months from interstate, and are choosing not to travel abroad, which has impacted on the market here. It is very tight, and I think it'd be fair to say the prices have gone up. But yeah, just general information there. I guess for my position, I'm more than happy to help any of the students when they arrive here in Perth, and even pre-departure. The last month or so, I've had a lot of questions, particularly from students from Africa and also Pakistan, that have been requiring accommodation, and then those links and just that connection to make, at least to get the application in online before they arrive here in Australia. And we've been recommending those services as opposed to the private rentals, because again, the market is very tight and you have to be in Perth, I feel, in order to apply for the accommodation, the private rental at least. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Great, thanks very much, Richard. So Rog, there's no certificate provided for this webinar, unfortunately. Those are only available for our technical engineering topic webinars. They are usually presented by one of our lecturers here at EIT or an external academic, and we do provide a free certificate of attendance for that. And we do have that that Industry 5 and sustainability panel discussion coming up. So you will be able to register your interest for one of those, and we will provide a certificate for that session. And I'll be also putting a lot more new technical topic webinars on our website. You can find them under events. For Han, we do have a range of partial scholarships for future students. I will provide the link to our scholarships page in the chat box there for you if you would like to have a look at those. And Mutula, our Masters in Structural Engineering, research-based or course-based. Our Masters programs, I believe, are course-based. They're not research-based, but I would recommend. I can grab your contact details are there. I can connect you with one of our friendly course advisors who can discuss that further with you. And might be another question for you, Richard, but Matula's also asked, are the internships that we do during master's studies paid internships or free, like free work
Okay,
internships, unpaid?
great question. Thanks, Matala. Thanks, Riley. So initially it is unpaid work, but we have actually found that for some of our applicants, successful applicants, that the company, after around about a month of internship, have taken the participants on as employees, as casual employees, and we've also had conversations for a couple of providers this year that are willing to pay our interns as opposed just to the free work, which I think it quite reflects on the industry at the moment, particularly here in Perth and WA. They're shouting out for engineers at the moment, and are actually interviewing and taking on people prior to graduation from their degrees. It just says a lot about the job market here in Perth at the moment, and WA as a whole.
Great, thanks, Richard. And someone's also asked about our graduate certificate programs. Are they recognised in the UK? So our graduate certificates aren't officially recognised in the UK. They are registered and accredited qualifications by the Australian government, but these are relatively new qualifications that we've been doing. The units for those graduate certificates are typically drawn from the relevant master's course. And some of our master's programs are internationally recognized, accredited by Engineers Australia. You can have a look at those on our website, but unfortunately, our graduate certificates are only accredited in Australia at this stage. Now, King Garcia, so in terms of like EIT helping students to get internships or jobs, as Richard was discussing earlier, it is in our best interests to help our students obtain internships and jobs, particularly after their after graduating from EIT. We do all that we can to try and secure jobs for our students, because that's what our belief is that we want strong graduate outcomes. We want measurable outcomes from studying with us. That is the purpose. Benji, you're currently studying in Sydney, pursuing electrical engineering honours second year. Is it possible to enroll with your normal Bachelor of Electrical Engineering, which takes 3 years? I would recommend for that for this query, I would definitely reach out to one of our course advisors. You can go to our website and click Contact Us, and you can or our contact details are on the screen here. You can even send me an email if you would like. My email is there, webinars@eit.edu.au. If any of you have any questions that we don't answer within the next couple of minutes, please feel free to send me an email to that address that I've just put in the chat box. There are a lot of questions coming through, so we may not be able to get to all of them. So we've also had a question regarding do you have students who study on campus and still work?
Yeah,
Yes,
just try to help him up, answer that question as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you replied to. Oh, great. Thanks, Titus. Appreciate that. And Daniel has asked, are there any sports events on campus? Richard, is that mainly the soccer games and the cricket that is held on campus?
Yeah, that's correct, Riley. A few limitations at the end of last year with lockdowns and whatnot, but we managed to squeeze in a couple of soccer matches, and we're planning on some cricket, hopefully for the tail end of summer. For local sports clubs, we like to put our students in touch with local sports clubs, particularly here in closer to, I guess, the southern river suburbs, the south of the river suburbs, I should say. And we have a number of students that play locally for local clubs. Yeah, quite a vibrant and fit and active campus in that sense. We're also quite close to a local gym as well, which is in walking distance from the Bentley campus. A number of our staff members will actually go over there for lunch, for a workout, and I'm sure quite a lot of our students would utilise that facility as well.
Thanks, Richard. Matula, the IELTS test. Yes, usually this is the most common English test that is used. We do have a specific English language proficiency requirement for our courses, and for you in order to it is one of our admissions requirements. So you will be able to find more information about that on our website. Usually that is the most common way to prove your English language proficiency. But then again, please look at our website, and you can speak to one of our course advisors about that. Or even if you're thinking of applying through an agent, which most of our on-campus students do, they will also be able to advise on those requirements. Mohammed, so our upcoming on-campus intake is the 1st of August 2022, and there is also a section on our website I'll put in the chat box as well. We actually have a page dedicated to the application process. So the page is called How to Apply, but there is a online and an on-campus option, but it details specifically the typical process of how a student applies for one of our courses. So I'd recommend you to have a look at that. Benji, the Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering is internationally accredited, so that one is accredited with Engineers Australia and is recognised internationally by a number of countries, and that one would be under the Sydney Accord. Daniel, what is the Doctor of Engineering application in Melbourne and Perth? If someone applies for Doctor of Engineering, is it possible to shift from one another? I would also recommend for this question just to reach out to. You can even send me an email, but basically one of our course advisors will be able to answer that question. Dahlia, thanks for your message. Please send me an email for that, and my colleague will be able to look into a partnership with you. Any entry requirements, anything like that, we'll be able to find on the specific page on the website. Daniel, yes, PTE test is an accepted form of English language proficiency. You'll be able to find more information about that under our entry requirements. I believe that that is all we have time for today. So thank you everyone who's joined and is still on the webinar with us. Thank you very much. And yeah, our contact details are on the screen, so please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. And yeah, thanks again, Richard and Titus, for presenting in the webinar. I think it was great and yeah, really informative. So thanks everyone, and have a good day ahead wherever you are.
Excellent. Thanks, Riley.
Thanks again.
Thanks for organising. Cheers. Thanks. See you guys.
Right, thanks, Riley.